All right, G. Good morning, good morning, good morning, Savannah, Georgia. We're back with you this morning one more time with the vulnerable community. We're here this morning. We got our renowned guest with us this morning, the Reverend Leonard Smalls.
Lord have mercy, Jesus.
Reverend Smalls this morning, I know you don't need any introduction, but introduce yourself for those who don't know you anyway.
Well, hey, Latavia, how you doing, Elder Irvin? God bless y'all. God bless y'all. For those who may not know, I am the Reverend Dr. Leonard Small. I pastor the Litway Missionary Baptist Church here in Savannah, Georgia, and have been pastor there for 41 years. I am the founder of Resurrection House Ministries, which owns and operates three radio stations in Georgia: WTLD FM 90.5, WSLT 88.5 in Statesboro, and WKVQ 1540 in Eatonton, Georgia. And I'm the vice president and chief spokesperson for the Weeping Time Coalition. And we're just happy to be in the number one more time.
Amen, amen, amen. And we're glad to have you. Sister Latavia, introduce yourself real quickly. So we got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Natavia Sanders Mobley. Ready to get started.
I,
Oh,
Re- Reverend Smalls, we want to talk about what's going on in Savannah, Georgia, and we know you're the preacher that's not afraid to talk about it. Yeah, we want to talk about there's elections that's coming up, and the election that just passed, and we've got a runoff election coming up,
true.
and we need to talk about all these things this morning because Chatham County needs to know what's going on.
Amen. Amen. As a matter of fact, These shows reach way beyond Chatham County, and uh, what I've what I've found out is that um, what happens here happens all over. The difficulty is because we don't necessarily have connecting media networks. Many of us suffer in silos. We suffer.
Right.
What goes on in Fayetteville, North Carolina, is happening in Savannah, Georgia. It's happening in Brunswick, Georgia. It's happening in Newark, New Jersey. It's happening in the South Side of Chicago. These the things that are happening to us, particularly the community, the nation in general. That's white, black, blue, and green. But the black community in particular, these things are happening all over, all the time. But because of our lack of connectivity, we suffer in silos.
Right. And you said it. We don't have that connection that we should have uh, with a person of your status and knowing what you know about communications. What? How do you suggest we fix some of that problem?
Well, the biggest fix that I've seen to spread our local intellectual um, 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 resources has been ATR, All Things Relevant Network, and our black media. These are just facts. As a result of three separate shows that we run on that platform, our Bible study, our church services, and our community active program, Tell It Like It Is. Just as a result of those, we have people of interest around the globe, not just in Savannah, not just in America, but from Africa, from Asia. Last week on our Bible study, we had a gentleman call in and speak from Liberia. So we can do it, but we need to have more of it. It's like me owning three media um, um, platforms, three broadcast radio stations with FCC licenses. And I say own them. Two of them are corporate, and one of them I own individually. But here's what we need to understand: African Americans owning and operating media fed under the FCC are 1 in 10,000. I want you to hear that number. A radio station owned by a black person is 1 in 10,000,
Wow.
which means that we have 1/10 of 1/10 of 1% that we're dealing with in terms of media.
Wow.
That's
That's
that's just a sad commentary. Okay, but now, so what the solution is? In 2000, I think it was 1999, maybe I got put off of WSOK for telling the truth. I had a show called Tell It Like It Is that ran for 15 years. But when someone else got elected and they wanted me to shut up, I got kicked off the radio station. The next year, I bought my first station. So sometimes the solution is to, instead of being on their platforms and at their behest, buy your own. And so if someone's going to be put off, you do the putting off.
he.
It's called self determination.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I uh, I know that you have been very busy, and I saw you earlier this morning. I watched your show earlier this morning, and you told the truth on it this morning. I I'm not gonna get into it, but you told the truth on it this morning. And
You can touch a little bit. I didn't see it.
well, he went into the book of Jude. Dang, I was missing it. I'll pronounce it in a minute. But he told the truth about how people are really they claim they're Christians and they ain't Christians, and they're not sanctified. And he told them how to
Can
do it.
you give me a small synopsis of what he talking about? 'Cause
Well, yeah, I
I'm
can.
confused.
Okay, I can make. Okay,
Okay.
the show that he saw was my show last Tuesday, which was the Bible study show. And
Okay.
what I talked about, and because of my personality, and you've been knowing me for a minute, Latavi. So here's the thing: because of my personality, I tend to rub folks the wrong way. Okay, but mostly because I tell flat truths, and folks aren't ready for the flat truth. So Jude talks about, and Jude was a brother of Jesus Christ, a blood brother of Jesus
Mhm.
Christ. He was a son of Mary and Joseph.
Mhm.
Therefore, as
Mhm.
a result of that, some things that people wouldn't
Two,
know
two, three,
is that there
nine,
are
four.
people on earth right now because he had four brothers other than himself, and
Mhm.
they were not Jesus. Therefore, as
Right.
Jews, he would have gotten married and had babies, and their babies had babies, and then he had more than one sister. From the book of Mark, where
Mhm.
it says Jesus had, they said his four brothers are among us, and they named them and his sisters. So we don't know how many they were. So Mary's DNA, which is Jesus's DNA, is still in the world. But
Mhm.
very few people act like they got any Jesus in them.
There you go.
And clergy and all, we are suffering from a dearth of true clergy that live what they preach. And our community
Mhm.
is suffering because they are greedy men. They are so busy trying
Mhm.
to get for themselves that their personal self-worth and their
Mhm.
material prosperity is their God. And so
Mhm.
they can't speak the truth because they might cut off a stipend. They can't speak the truth because they might cut off a grant. But and I that's basically the frame that it was in. And then I was blessed enough to have a gentleman from our there's some feedback. I was blessed enough to
I'm
have a
listening.
gentleman from our mission in Liberia. I take care
Mhm.
of in Liberia, who became orphans as a result of Ebola. And so I have
Mhm.
stewards in Liberia that I send my money through to get them educated because they don't have public schools, they only have private schools. So I have to pay
Mhm.
for these right now. We had over 100 once, but circumstances over there, those kids can't keep going to school. They have to eke out livings. So I'm down to about 50 kids
Mhm.
in my uh, educational program for Ebola orphans. And
Okay.
I had my steward come on, and I was able to demonstrate how when I'm over there, he has to interpret when I preach. And I did a little
Mhm.
short sermon with me and him on the
Mhm.
radio, and I'd say it, then he'd say it in their language is called Basa, and he'll say it in Basa, and I'll say it, and I'll say it, and that's how I preach when I'm around when I'm on in different places in the world, whether it's Korea or the Philippines or Israel or Jordan or Germany or France. That's how I preach. I preach with an interpreter, and that's a skill. But
Mhm.
I wanted to just let ministers know, you do it God's way. He'll do what He said. He'll bless it. He will make you
Mhm.
rich. He will make you prosper. You don't have to get,
Mhm.
and you don't have to bite your tongue.
That's right.
If you'll stand up for the truth, God will pour into you what He promised He will pour into you, and He said and He promised it faithful. that he will pour you out a blessing that there shall not be room enough to receive it. And you're looking at the portrait of that personification because he is happening. It's happened to me. And that's why I'm able to be generous in our giving and in our work in the community. And also why I don't have to fear what men might do. I don't have
Mm-hmm.
I haven't borrowed money for a loan from an institution in more than 30, 40 years. When I bought the radio station, I bought it with a check.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, that's a beautiful thing that you have the ability to do that. I have people that just desire something as small as a lawn care business and can't afford it, but work every day, so it's a beautiful thing that you're able to do that. Let me jump back with the original conversation when you were talking about the correlation of these different communities across America that happen to be inhabiting Black people. Is that what you was talking about?
Yes.
Okay, and you were talking about the same deficits or whatever exists there as well. Is that what you said earlier or not?
That's exactly
Like they pretty much.
For instance.
Yeah, and so that's kind of what I've been doing over the last 10 years. I've been doing some extensive assimilation research, trying to understand the ecosystem of the inner city and understand why all of these communities that are way far apart from each other happen to have the same issues and the same problems. I track it back through history, and I started looking at the Great Migration and where the people left when they left from, down south and flee to what they would think was a better opportunity. And it just seems like things didn't change. Things got modernized as far as the inferior and superior positions. And it's almost like it was something set, because every community that I've looked at across this country, been there, visited, it's got the same deficits. And if the same deficits exist, it's like an if-then statement. Then that means that if this isn't existing, then this is going to happen. This kind of criminal activity and all the other things that we see that are unique to Black communities. And I wonder, was that purpose? Was that by just chance we migrated to these communities and they turned this way, or were they designed this way? Is my question at this point.
Well,
what do you think?
As far as the idea that it's just a Black thing is actually kind of off in a sense. Let me give you, for instance, that you could see easily. What's happening to the Palestinians is the same thing that happened to the American Negro. And I use that term because how it was counted at the time. So the Negro communities, like Roswell, like Tulsa, Philadelphia, Mississippi,
East St. Louis.
Okay, all of these were attacked and destroyed without any due process. Okay, now you get to the people in Bosnia a few years ago. Okay, or you get to the people in Ireland a few years ago. And we keep trying to isolate and say, well, no, it's not the same because those were white people, or those were Asians, or the people over in Cambodia. And what we do is we keep isolating it, or what's happening in the Congo. It's the same play. Now, it is true that much of it is orchestrated by Europeans. That's a fact. Their mindset's different. Their psychology is very different. They have an assumption of superiority, and they also have an assumption and a theme of we are the ones who are supposed to own it, who are supposed to run it. A few years ago, down in the Falkland Islands, white folks decided they wanted to be independent from Britain. America joined Britain in telling those people they couldn't be free. You got to get the mindset. Right now,
and I do know that when you study history, and so what I've done is I do, understand what's going on in the outside of this country. But I find so many of my friends so intrigued in international affairs that they don't even deal with the local. And so I really affix myself, and that's why I say, yeah, I understand that all of it's correlated. But then we have to understand, if we got more freedoms as African Americans, considering we were only slaves in America, the only people that can say that they were slaves in America, then why is it that we're still in all of these Black communities, we're still in the inferior position? Why is all of these communities that's all by so you get the inner cities, you got the big cities, and them big cities can function the way they do if they didn't have them inner cities.
Hold that thought 1 minute.
What you say?
Go to a quick break. We'll be right back for the answer from Reverend Leonard Smalls. Well, thought we was going. Let's go ahead. Go ahead, Reverend.
Okay. Latavia, I got you. Watch this.
So, I be wanting to talk about the American problem, because what happens every time I'm talking to someone about the American problem, they do, and I understand the correlation that it's not just the American problem, it's really an economic problem when you get done with it. But I'm trying to understand how we as a people that's here in America, the ones that do have voices, like you say, that could do more but don't, because they have to keep certain people comfortable because they might lose some kind of funding or something like that. Why don't we really know? We see it, we know it, but it's really not being addressed. I read all through history, civil rights, and these different things. And the biggest thing that I keep asking everyone and no one can answer, why, if we have gotten better as Americans, why haven't we created another Black Wall Street? I ain't talking about no strip mall, a whole city. Because if we got more, over 100 years ago, people segregated and everything else, had a whole city of economics with Black people. What happened? How do we not have one of those again? I'm sorry.
I think Dr. Brian's ready for you now.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to break right now.
Have you ever experienced a Juneteenth event? Come out to Port Wentworth and celebrate our second annual Juneteenth Festival. Friday, June 21st from 5 p.m. until 9 p.m. Come enjoy our music, our food, our heritage, our culture, and our history. It will be plenty of fun for everyone. Juneteenth is American history. It's a day that we celebrate and remember. It's a day that we look back, but more importantly, a day that we look forward. Join us this June.
All right, we're back. Reverend, I know you got your answers ready, but we got to realize that there is something called, you say we're free, but there's still economic slavery that they're keeping us under.
Well, here's the thing.
Go ahead, Reverend.
There's a simple answer to Latavia's question, but it's profound in its application. The simple answer is called domination. And domination is by any means. In this case, they set up a psychological framework where they would take one of us, these 2 or 3 generations ago, this wasn't that long ago, okay, 160 years ago, was when they sold us at the weeping time. So just think in terms, and the fact that my grandfather was born in not my great-grandfather, or great-great-grandfather. My grandfather was born in 1859. He died in 1959. I was 9 years old. It's not that big a difference. But what they inculcated us with as black folk was a system of who can get to be the overseer. Who can get to be the overseer? So it's a psychological inculcation in viewing of the mindset that in order to get ahead, I have to make massa pleased by dominating and beating the rest of them. Not these aren't my people, master. They're your people. And I'm going to make sure they stay your people, which would make me a little bit different than they are, make me a little bit better. So the mindset is, if I can get into public authority, then I have to show the massa community, the white community, how I am able to do their bidding, how I am able to erase. I'm going to go along with them erasing history. I'm going to go along with them redlining our community. If they complain that they're not getting loans, I'm going to give the excuse, you're not qualified. When in most cases, our white counterparts with lower credit can walk into a financial institution and get the capitalization they need to start businesses and things of that nature. So some of us with some insight, with our own wherewithal and independence, that we are not depending upon that system, need to usurp the authority of the gifts that we've been given. For instance, when they said, one of our mayors, Mayor Johnson, said the weeping time fight is over. Just get over it. That's done. And most of the black community and most of the white community said, yeah, y'all just need to leave that, stop whipping that dead horse. And we filed suit in October of 2021. It is now June of 2024. And we look like we're going to be able to save the weeping time property that they said was lost. Because I grew up in a time when we integrated, when there were only a few blacks among a bunch of whites. And I hate to say it just like this, I started thinking like white people. I believe I'm supposed to be in charge. I believe I'm supposed to be self-determined. I believe if I want it, I can go to court and get it, because that's how they walk in. Donald Trump is angry right now because he didn't get what he would call white man's justice, which ain't justice. He's angry right now. He thinks he's been treated wrong, not so much as a citizen, not so much as an ex-president, but as a man who is supposed to receive a certain type of treatment. Now, once we decide we're going to assert the promises that they made, even though they were lying at the time, that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and then collectively don't mind spending our monies to guard our heritage even. And because they'll say things to us that actually are like shackles. You can't sue City Hall. Well, we did. And we're going to save the weeping time. Now, how are we going to save it? Because we had some people at the legislature, Carl Gilliard and the Republicans principally, I want you to hear that, who had the audacity to get the Republicans to help him. And they voted, the Republicans voted unanimously to form the Weeping Time Corridor Cultural Authority, which will be codified on July the 1st, with the power to purchase and preserve the land from Augusta Avenue that pertains to the Weeping Time sale, the largest sale of slaves in American history. Now, if we had believed that the fight was over when they said it was over, we wouldn't be here. So that's one of the ways. Stop believing what they tell you when they say these glib little things. You can't sue City Hall. I'm suing City Hall in Savannah and in Brunswick simultaneously right now because they stopped me from.
That particular legislation didn't give that authority eminent domain. So therefore, the Salvation Army can still build on that land eventually. Like it gave everything else of a certain portion. Like I read that legislation extensively. So I mean, it may be, it's going to be something, and it's more than likely going to be exactly what they said it was going to be. But now that authority, like I said, it doesn't have eminent domain. So it can have the authority to purchase, but will it purchase? That's going to be the issue. But still, rather small, you ain't really went into the question that I originally asked. Why are we not pushing our people to be more entrepreneurs, similar to what they did in Black Wall Street? You know, yeah, we got the activism and stuff, because that's kind of what you just explained. And, you know, there you got to get people where you got to catch people where they're at, because you got to realize we also got these public school systems that's educating people a certain way. So sometimes people don't even know what to advocate for, what to advocate against. So that's a whole nother thing. But still, our people supposed to have, we supposed to be better after 100 years of between Black Wall Street and now. So what is you what is it that we haven't pulled together? Like you say, you own these. What can get us that group economic base like the Asians have? You know, like that's kind of what the question was framed around. Is like what I realized after I got through breaking down all the race and all the ideology things. What is going to get us the economics? Because that's what's going to give us the respect. That's what's going to give us the power, is the economics. So I'm just trying to understand, if our people been here all this time, why are we not pulling together and understanding that same group of economics base like we did during Black Wall Street time?
Okay, well, you're framing the question, and I can answer the question because you said this thing. Why can't we? Why can't we? That's what you kept saying.
Yeah, the Asians get it right. The Hispanics, I see them working together.
Let me answer the question. We don't have a corporate mindset. We don't have.
But we are skilled. We're skilled and gifted.
No, we're not. We don't have a corporate mindset. Let me answer now. Watch this. 20 white men will come together and put their monies together and form a corporation. I challenge you to find 20 black folk that will come together and form a corporation. Now, we did some of it when we found the black insurance companies back in the 60s and 70s. We did some of it, and we did some of it in pockets, like they did at Black Wall Street, where they formed banks. A man here in Mr. Toomer formed the bank that ultimately became Carver State Bank back in the 50s. So we've had enough money and we've had enough education. What we haven't had is the psychology to come together and marry each other in the money. Now, as I told you, the corporations own 2 of my radio stations. I own one of them. The point I'm making for you is this: until we learn the corporate mechanism, because even when you're a corporation, I'm going to pay less taxes per capita. I'm going to pay a smaller percentage of taxes for the monies I gain as a corporation than the money someone making flipping burgers or selling shoes or selling cars. My tax rate is geared toward the fact that white folks have corporations, and the medium and middle class and lower class simply have jobs. Okay, so one of the things we can do is educate each other and gain some confidence in each other, but nothing succeeds like success. And so I'm taking my kids, my grandkids, my nieces and my nephews, and I'm teaching them how to form businesses, have corporations, become real estate brokers, to actually marry themselves into the system of self-determination. I'm not telling any of the children in Litway Missionary Baptist Church, get an education, get a job. I'm not telling any of them that, well, get a good education, get a good job. No. Get a good education to start you a business. Get a good education to become self-determined. Get an education. I wouldn't care. Listen, I wouldn't care if you sell shoes on eBay. Get something you do for yourself, initially by yourself, and when you accumulate any degree of wealth, find like-minded people, put your wealth together, you will become exponentially more powerful. You know, and we are getting a few people who are breaking through. We are getting the Shaq O'Neals, and we are getting the Michael Jordans who are setting up, and others who are setting up these things whereby they're making tracks. They're making tracks for people to follow through. You know, Tyler Perry making these frameworks. Even Tiger Woods making these frameworks where young people are coming in.
Don't forget Kanye West.
Now, see, you're wrong for that. You know Kanye got issues. Kanye needs medication.
I love Kanye. Kanye is out loud. Kanye from Chicago.
Okay, I'm gonna love disagreeing with you again. Okay, no. Listen. Kanye can be Kanye. Kanye has his right to his individual opinion, but Kanye will actually is promoting the election of someone who said basically all of Africa wasn't worth a nickel. I can't say what the president said about what kind of countries we came from, but how am I ever gonna respect Kanye if he's kissing up to someone who hates me based on that's going to be hard for me. I
don't base people off of whatever they political views is, but overall beyond his political view, he's pretty solid and he speaks his mind. I love the fact that he's not letting anyone control him. We just talked about that earlier. You want them open mind, free spirits to be able to do it differently, because he's definitely doing it different, and he sacrificed a lot to do it differently. Yeah, you know, they tried to cut his head off, but it didn't work.
But you know, you could be loud and wrong.
Amen.
No. I like his independence. Also, I'm going to go and do that with you. Latavia, I really like his independence. I like the fact that under pressure, he did tell them basically where to go. I like that. That is a good demonstration. But as long as he's kissing up to someone who would destroy our people, who would keep us basically in a worse condition, who orchestrated the removal of the Voting Rights Act, which I fought for as a little boy, and going to jail on the streets, affirmative action that we need desperately, to the point where there are less Black students per capita in most of our larger universities as a result of getting rid of affirmative action, which doesn't work like people think it does. Affirmative action only made sure that Black and brown children who qualified actually got into school, because you got to remember, when you go to apply for a school, there's a person on the other side of that application, and that person can show bias, and they did for years. Affirmative action said,
well, from the statistics, affirmative action helped white women more so than anyone.
Okay, it helped white women more, but it helped us more.
It benefited them more.
It helped them more than it helped us, but it was helping us. So, but now think about the psychology. We don't want to help them more, and therefore we're going to get rid of something that was helping us, even if it wasn't helping us more. So
I want to say this if I can.
You got to think it through to its end. because I have a little black girl right now who is in South Africa studying, called my granddaughter, who made a film the other day of several young black students at University of Georgia, young black females, who declared that in their classes in 2024, and they're some of the best and brightest in the school, most of the time in a class of 100 to 120 students, there are 2, maybe 3 blacks in the state of Georgia at the University of Georgia today, which is less than there were 30 years ago.
Let me say this, if I may, before we go to another quick break. You know, Natavia, we didn't take advantage of affirmative action like we should have. Like Reverend Small said, we don't have the corporate mind that we should. I think I was 16 years old. We had 3 stores in Carver Village, a block apart. Mm-hmm. One this corner, and the other one was around the corner. There was a building being built on Stiles and Gwinnett. It housed the Winn-Dixie store. When Dixie moved out, I went to them, the 3 of them, told them, pull your money together, get the store, and you can have a big, large grocery store for the neighborhood, and you can make money. You're just a young boy. You don't know what you're talking about. We can't trust, I can't trust him, I can't trust him. You ain't got to trust him. Now, I'm still in school, but I'm trying to give them a little bit of education. You ain't got to trust him. Get you a certified accountant, bookkeeper, put somebody in there to take over. All you got to sit back and watch your money come in.
That's it.
See what we get these little mom and pop stores, which is fine to start off with, but we can't compete with people buying stock. They're buying them by the truckload, and we got to go to them to buy it from them because they done tacked on a bigger price than we can afford. But now we got to go to a quick break, and we'll be right back. Then we're going to get down to Savannah, Georgia, Reverend Small.
I love it.
All right, Robert.
Have you ever experienced a Juneteenth event? Come out to Port Wentworth and celebrate our 2nd annual Juneteenth Festival. Friday, June 21st from 5 p.m. until 9 p.m. Come enjoy our music, our food, our heritage, our culture, and our history. It will be plenty of fun for everyone. Juneteenth is American history. It's a day that we celebrate and remember. It's a day that we look back, but more importantly, a day that we look forward. Join us this June.
All right, we're back. Reverend Smalls.
Yes, sir, boss.
My young man, you're too far away for me to reach. All right. You hit on it earlier. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to come back to it because I believe, like you say, I ain't afraid to tell the truth. I'm 6'2", almost 300 pounds. I done lost a couple of pounds. But what's happening to the leadership of our churches in our neighborhood as far as politics is concerned?
Well, right now we are in I consider somewhat of a tailspin. We've got people who know better, who won't do better in terms of our leadership. Um, Very, very well educated, very competent people. But the powers that be are now buying us. And they're buying, all they did was up the price. And we're being basically sold. Back in weeping time, they would sell 2 or 3, maybe a small family of 4 at a time. Now they buy one of us and get the rest of us for free. So, and with small money, when I say I'm talking about pennies on the dollar, the city of Savannah's annual budget is now more than $500 million, more than $500 million. It would take 50, no, excuse me, it would take $500,000, less than 1/10 of 1/10 of 1% of the budget for the city of Savannah to preserve the lands of the weeping time. I mean, considerably no money in the scheme of things. After we, when we look at that, and when we look at the fact that we do have some prosperous African Americans, particularly we have churches that have some degree of self-determination and resource. Our Black community grew and got strength and power during a time when our Black preachers came together as a force and called questions in the public square. It was Reverend L. Scott Stell.
Yes, sir.
Okay, who actually put his son's names on the bill, on the case, Stell versus Board of Education, that actually changed, people don't realize this, the trajectory of the integration of schools across the nation. So much so that if you see a lady named Vance on MSNBC, her father, as a result of his name being on Stell versus Board of Education, received a pipe bomb. Joy Vance's father was killed, assassinated with a pipe bomb. She doesn't talk about it, but every once in a while, someone else will mention it. The same man who killed him killed my personal friend, Robbie Robinson, on Abercorn Street with a pipe bomb. Now, so they were so effective that these scare tactics came about. And then the counter community, which is the white political structure, came up with a new plan. The new plan was called Community Development Block Grants. And they used those, giving them to churches who became 501c3s, to give them what we call in the streets the hush mouth. They stopped speaking over these pennies. We were already taking up enough money. When we fought for the community flooded the church's treasurers. And that's what made Martin King, Andy Young, Ralph Abernathy, and other ministers independent. One of the reasons I'm independent is because you can't come to Litway. Litway blesses Pastor Small. You can't come to my deacon court and say, well, y'all need to shut that Negro up. No, that won't work. Because Litway is because we've helped so many people, Litway is financially independent. Now we need to take that, as Natalia was talking about, we need to take that idea that if we are effective in the community, we will be blessed, and go ahead and start affecting the community. And we pour into the community pours into us, we pour into the community pours into us. And that's when Natalia's dream becomes a reality. Because what her questions are, why can't we do this? The answer is we can. We really honestly can. But we've got to slow down long enough to stop being penny poor and stop acting like we're so desperate for attention. And if you're going to have, say for instance, Martin Luther King Day Parade, there are tens of thousands of people out on the street, black folk. But when one of us gets shot down by an overzealous police officer, you might get 15 or 20 of us for a day or two. That is an obscene set of facts. We've got to get the corporate mindset. We've got to learn how to. Myself and 2 other preachers, I want you to hear this. Remember I told you I got put off of WSOK, okay, for telling the truth. Myself and 2 other preachers was offered the opportunity to buy it together. As it turned out, while these 2 other preachers have large congregations and drive very fancy cars, they didn't have the $5,000 a piece for the down payment. And when I told Ben Tucker at the time, well, I'll buy it, the owner said, no, we're not secure with one. We would be secure if the 3 pastors bought it, but we don't want to. And I said at the time, well, you do know I could buy the whole thing cash. They wouldn't sell it to me. Now, what am I saying? For little or no money, Ben Tucker, with a corporate mindset, had gone to the bank, and we simply needed $15,000 down payment, and the financing was arranged by Tucker. Already, we couldn't come together to buy a station for $150,000. I want you to hear these numbers. For $150,000 that 3 or 4 years later sold for $3 million. That is a tragedy. That's the mindset. We had 3 churches getting ready to buy a piece of property in Thunderbolt together. The week before we got together to close that deal, one of the deacons made the church come together and by his power of personality, shut the whole thing down. The land in question was the land that they built the new Johnson High School on, and the land across the street. And because we can't come together. After that, I've now gotten to the point where if the deals show up, and they have, we're able to buy them. We're able to buy them like that. We don't have to go to a bank or a broker. We've got to get to that position as a people. And we've got to be able to come together, even though I can do it, or Litway can do it individually now. We need to be able to come together. We need to bring all the black churches together in Savannah and stop paying anybody else for insurance. We could take, listen to this simple idea. We can take what each black church pays for insurance, put it in a fund for and insure ourselves. We got 400 black churches. Litway pays almost $10,000 a year for insurance by itself. If we take First African, Tremont Temple, Second African, if we take all First African East Savannah, Ebenezer, if we take all those churches and bring them together in a corporate mind, we can self-insure. Our money gets to be our money. You want answers? Ask your questions. I'm an old man now. I ain't like I used to be. I'm not anxious, and I'm not greedy. And I'm not even selfish at this point. I hate to say it just like this. The pile has gotten so big. I don't need to be selfish. All we need to do is figure out what to do with the pile. Bless somebody who can bless your back. Do some good in your own neighborhood. Now, I do good around the world, But like Latavia brought it back. Okay, what about here? And of course, Elder Irvin, you know more about me here than most people know, because most of what I do, I try to do anonymously.
That's right.
But we've been
We
blessed.
back
I
a
do
long ways.
want to ask about the presidential election just to hear what you have to say. Can you give me just some kind of quick talking point to convince people that they should vote for Biden?
Sure. You should vote for Biden because Trump hates you. You should vote for Biden
That's
because
simple enough.
Trump undid affirmative action. You should vote for Biden because Trump said that Maxine Waters was ignorant and called Omarosa a girl dog. You should vote for Biden. No, it don't take much. You should vote for Biden even if you're rich, because Trump ran up the national debt $7 trillion in 4 years. He ran up the national debt twice as much as Obama did in 8 years. In 4 years, he increased the national debt by 30%. One president did more against the national debt in 4 years than the previous 5 presidents. You should vote for Biden because unemployment is at an all-time low, and he was there with Obama when GM stayed alive and Obama and Osama bin Laden got dead. You should vote for Biden. Now, why people say they ain't gonna vote for Biden? For the crime bill. He apologized for that. For voting against busing for integration. He apologized for that. But more than that, every time you see him at an important meeting on national and international affairs, there's a dark-skinned woman standing behind him. Vote for Biden. And on top of that, every time you see the array of the Supreme Court, there's a black woman who is, holding her own, smart as a whip, brilliant beyond reason, sitting there on the Supreme Court. He promised that, he delivered that. And if you ever feel like taking some time, because you got to remember now, training and experience breeds leaders. Look at the interns picture for the Obama, Clinton, and even the Bush, both of them, the intern picture, the young people who come out of college and intern with the administration. Look at their pictures from administration to administration, and then look at how white, lily white, the internships was for the 4 years that Trump was president. It couldn't be more white if the Ku Klux Klan planned it. I'm just telling you what God loves. I'm telling you the truth. Now, it might bust your head wide open, and if anything I said has besmirched your sensibilities, just remember, I meant every word I said.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I hear you, Pastor. I hear you, Pastor. You know, it's a thing that all of us that's our age, Pastor, not all of us, but some of us our age, we learned during the time, like you said, when we had to go downtown and had to march, had to get hit with the water hose, had the dogs chase us down the street. We had to learn, we had to stand on our own 2 feet. And one thing I've always been taught in my life, you got 2 feet, stand on them. Don't let nobody be able to hold you up. Stand on your own 2 feet. And if we learn to stand on our own 2 feet and learn that we have the power to be independent, if we trust in the power of the Lord upstairs, we can be independent. We don't have to stand back and take it off of nobody else. He's all the power that we need if we just learned to hold on to his hand. I ain't gonna start preaching, preacher. I see you looking at the corner. Yeah, I ain't gonna start preaching.
Oh no,
But
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
the thing is, you know,
I
we
got
have
my amen saved up.
yeah, we have to learn that we have to learn who and where our powers come from, and stop looking back. And I asked the guy the other day about registering to vote, and it was all I could do. I had to stick my hands in my pocket because he said his boss say he didn't need to vote. I had to stick my hands in my pocket, preacher. I don't believe you at this day and age you would tell me something like that. Preacher, it has been fun. It's been a great time having you on here. Natalia, it's been great. Preacher, you got 1 minute to finish to give us a closing statement, and we're gonna let Robert close us down after that.
Well, here's the thing. Either Donald Trump or Joseph Robinette Biden will be the president. It's a binary choice. The question as to whether you should vote for a third-party candidate isn't a question to be asked. No third-party candidate will ever be president in this climate. It's a waste. It's a half a vote. It's not a vote for Biden that he should get, and it's a vote. It's not a vote against Trump that he should not get. So basically, if two of you decide not to vote for Biden, then you've given Trump a vote. Bottom line, we have a binary choice. Either Donald John Trump, a convicted felon, among other things, a serial adulterer with porn stars. How did we ever get to the point where he would be considered worthy to be the president, much less by the evangelical church? You know when he's lying if his lips are moving. I mean, and he wasn't really good for the economy. 4 years ago, people ask themselves the question, I'm gonna close. 4 years ago, they asked themselves the question, are you better off 4 years later? If you have a retirement account, if you're a working person, you got a 401k. 4 years ago, the Dow Jones Industrial, which is tied to most retirement accounts, was at 1,900. Today is at twice that, at 3,900. Your money got better in the last 4 years in your retirement account under Joseph Robinette Biden. Bottom line, he's better for us economically. He's better for us morally. He's better for us as a result of just plain decency. The world will look at us as if we're fools. Putin will be more empowered, and other dictators around the world, including Kim Jong-un and others, will be embraced. And the rest of the free world will be looking at America and wondering, what were you thinking? I'm voting for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Please join us. Thank you. God bless.
God bless you.
Like this.